Adrian Broadus.
And happy Tuesday, everybody. We're back in our comfortable, cozy 600 ESPN El Paso River Oaks Property Schoolyard Sports Studios for the next 2 hours. You just heard from Adrian Broadus. By the way, how tough is Adrian? Let me tell you how tough Adrian Broadus is. He gets his wisdom teeth pulled this morning, and he's here hours later hosting Sports Talk. That is, and by the way, he still sounds good. Guy had, 2 wisdom teeth pulled. And you would think, you know what? Spend the rest of the day at the house, take it easy, relax, recover. Thanksgiving's right around the corner. Nope. Here he is. He's wearing his Win the West Oscar Arieta All-State Agency t-shirt, and he's hanging out with us for 2 hours. That is impressive. Shocking. Impressive. Best way to put it. Let me say this. I was not expecting you today. I figured you'd be home, taking it easy, with your sore mouth and all. Impressed that you are here today and you are going to be powering through the next 2 hours of Sports Talk.
Yeah, it's a busy day, Steve. We can't slow down. No wisdom teeth can get us out or take us out for this one. UTEP basketball's got to get a win tonight. I got to be here tonight because UTEP needs a win after a horrible loss yesterday, man. It was just disgraceful.
Yep.
I don't know what happened yesterday in that loss. The best way I could describe it is they are as inconsistent as it gets. They look like the team from Utah Valley. They did not look like the team who went on the road and beat UC Santa Barbara.
Well, no, because when they started off hot against UC Santa Barbara, they kept that shooting going throughout the game. Yesterday, they fell behind big early, had a hard time. We're down almost by a dozen, by 9 at halftime. And, it wasn't until really the end where they made their comeback. And they came down to, I think it was down by 3. But, look, here's the hardest part about this basketball team, all right? Number one, they're at their best when they can shoot the ball. They didn't shoot the ball well yesterday. They didn't get enough people involved yesterday. They got killed on the glass again. And, when you go small and your tallest guy is Otis Frazier III down the stretch, this is what's going to happen. The end result is, hey, they've got a formula for success, but you got to be clicking on all cylinders. And they weren't clicking last night. In fact, the bigger question is they've got to find a way to have either Kevin Kalu or Derek Hamilton in the game in crunch time and actually try to score. Kevin Kalu didn't attempt a shot, for crying out loud. You can't do that, You got to get some points out of your bigs. You got to get some points out of your post players, Adrian. That's the hardest part right now, and they didn't do that again, and it's tough to watch. By the way, I didn't watch it. I didn't pay the Flow Sports $30 or $20 or whatever. Instead, I listen to John and Steve, and I mean this in so much sincerity you have no idea. But I absolutely love it when Yellen is trying to get his points across while John is calling the game. It is like, I'm like driving down the street yesterday from Border City Ale House, listening to the game, but smiling from ear to ear while the game is going on because Yellen and Teicher, there is not a duo like that in the country calling basketball. You just have to understand that, John and Steve are the most unique radio team you will find anywhere in college basketball, and Yellen was really on fire down the stretch in that game yesterday when the Miners were mounting their comeback.
I love the partnership between those two. They have great tandem. It feels like, Yellen is the ultimate fan. Actually, he's not the ultimate fan. He is the number one fan. And he's over here cheering Corey Camper after he's starting to go off in that game and everything. I'm just dying of laughter. He's killer. I love Steve Yellen on the call for these because then John, voice of the Miners, Teicher, he will obviously stable the game just nicely. And then you got the craziness that comes with Steve Yellen in the best way possible.
I have to make a Yellen mashup. I do. I just need one day to sit down with a couple of hours of spare time and just take Yellen's greatest hits and put it into a 2 to 3 minute montage of some of the best highlights you'll ever hear. Because yesterday again, it was unbelievable. And that's what I'm saying. And the Miners, but look, point is this. As much as we love listening to Yellen and Teich, they lost that game yesterday, and they did not play well, and it was bad. And fans are on this roller coaster ride, man. When things are good, they're really good. And then all of a sudden, like that performance and the Utah Valley performance makes you wonder what's going on 4 years into this regime. So there's so many mixed messages going around right now. That's the toughest part if you're a UTEP basketball fan.
I go back to what you were saying earlier. If they shoot better, they're obviously going to stay in games. Well, of course. But Steve, the problem is when you're living by the three and dying by the three, you die sometimes. And yesterday, 5 made threes against UC Santa Barbara, 11 made threes. Maybe it's just a simple math like that. Maybe, they just need to hit more threes in games. Only having 4 attempts from Ahmad Bynum, only having 2 attempts from, or actually I should say, 2 attempts from Devin Barnes. That can't cut it for this UTEP basketball team. They need more attempts. They need more attempts from beyond the arc. That will require fans to be patient because 1 of 9 from beyond the arc is what they shot in the first half. In the second half, they started to heat up a little bit more, making a 4 out of 9 from beyond the arc. And the only shot they made from three-point range in the first half was that miraculous three-pointer at the buzzer by Corey Camper.
They don't have a plan B. That's my problem right now. Like when they're off, there's not another way to shift into a different type of offense or some kind of backup to make something work. And by the way, when you've got Frazier as your tallest player in the final 2 minutes, and then you lose out on every contested rebound, I mean, what do you expect? You're small. And unfortunately, the fact that they didn't go with Hamilton or Kalu down the stretch killed them on the glass.
It's funny. They played to the other team's strength, which was playing smaller. And maybe there's people out there who are going to argue, they did this because they were faster on the switches for pick and rolls and stuff like that. You need the big guy down low, Steve.
Yeah, you do.
And the bottom line is this team, it feels like they're lacking that identity down low, and that's going to hurt them all season long.
Well, first off, they only have 2 big guys. And one doesn't shoot. And the other one can barely stay in the game for a couple of minutes at a time because he gets winded. So there's your issue. And I get it. NIL, it's expensive to recruit big guys. I know that. We already know that. That is the most premium NIL position around. You can get guards all day long. Guards are a dime a dozen. Forwards and centers, those are serious dollars that go into that. So, you know what? They figured, all right, we'll keep the 2 guys we know that are coming back. Hope we can develop Elijah Jones a little bit. And while we're at it, let's load up on guards and get better three-point shooters and may become a better shooting team. But again, you're so one-dimensional in the sense that if your guards are off, you're toast. You're not going to get Kevin Kalu to drop 10 or 12 or 15 points. And you'll be lucky if you can get Derek Hamilton to stay out there for more than 15 minutes a game. That's the downside right now, is you're just very limited. They picked up Wickware. He's not ready to go yet, so it's pretty obvious that he's not as far along in development as they hoped when they brought him on, so he's not playing. Babacar is not going to play either. So, I mean, you got some of these guys that are just taking up a scholarship right now that aren't going to see the floor, and you're going to just keep rolling the dice with these guards, hoping that you can get enough wins that come March, they carry you all the way through the postseason.
From the front court, one of the thoughts is maybe they get DeCannon Wickware by January or February if he's able to get healthy. The health concerns is the biggest problem with DeCannon. And then you're telling about playing into game shape. That's what Babacar and Benge is currently going through right now, trying to get into game shape, Steve, coming off a serious leg injury that he suffered. I don't see him playing on the court this year. And then you're telling me that the rotation is going to shorten. How is DeCannon Wickware going to find any minutes realistically? You're already seeing Baylor Heb getting phased out of the lineup. Tonight, maybe he gets a chance to play just because they need depth and they need to throw bodies out there. But yesterday, extended minutes from KJ Thomas. And then, like people pointed out on Minor Talk yesterday, what's going on with David Terrell Jr., him having 6 points but having fouled out of every single game against Division I opponents to start off the season. Not a great way to start.
No, maybe he's trying to play so physical defensively that it's costing him a chance to be on the floor more. But that's the hardest part too, right? You're preaching a very tough, hard-nosed defense that forces turnovers, gets in transition. The downside to that is if you're overly physical, they're going to call it on you. So they got to figure out how can they get David Terrell to play more like he did last year. Stay on the floor, don't foul out, run the team a little bit as the guard, but don't put yourself in a spot where, you're on the bench in foul trouble every game, because that should never happen from a sophomore point guard.
Yeah, I mean, they have him out there because it's the size advantage, and they're desperately needing any sort of size because they're getting killed off the glass and rebounding, but he's not grabbing the boards either. So they need a solution, and they need it desperately, Steve. They're one of the worst teams in offensive rebounding in the country. They're one of the worst teams in defending teams going up against teams who actually draw fouls. So teams are really getting to the free throw line at a high clip against UTEP right now at this point of the season.
Yep.
And they're not shooting the ball particularly well from 2-point attempts. Right now, they're shooting 43 beyond the arc.
That's amazing.
But they're shooting only 35% from 2-point shots.
How is that even? Well, you know why, right? Because right now you're getting no inside play whatsoever, very little inside play, and they're better from beyond the arc than they are from right now inside. It's crazy, but that's just that's the truth.
Yeah, it's so weird, right?
It's the strangest thing I've ever heard.
It's a complete turnaround from last year.
Yeah, it should be reversed. That's the way it should be.
Reversed.
What is their percentage from inside the 3-point range?
Yeah, 2-point shots right now, they're averaging 39% from 2-point shots.
Let me say something. If they were 39% from 3-point land, that would be terrific. And then if they were 43.5 from the field, all right, now that's playable. But the other way is the strangest thing I've ever seen.
And, they're hitting shots from the free throw line. It's just like they're living and dying by the 3-point shot, and if they don't hit that, they're going to chuck up a mid-range jumper that probably won't be a high contest or a high percent shot.
Who do you have next to you, Sebastian?
Sebastian.
All right. Welcome, Sebastian. Welcome, Alberto. Alberto Dueta back with us again today. How you doing, man?
Very good. It's good to be back.
Hey, thanks for bringing the tamales today for that potluck lunch we had.
Yeah, everyone seemed to enjoy them a whole bunch.
They were good. Where'd you get them from?
Tamales Lupita. They loved them.
Tamales Lupita is always a win. It's a big win.
Worth the wait.
Yeah, man.
In the line.
I appreciate you doing that. That was very nice of you. All right. Hey, we got a lot of calls to get to. Started off today with our first one of the day. That's Gator Richard, who we didn't hear from yesterday, but we get him today instead. Go Gators. You got to be on top of the world right now with what's happened over the last 2 weeks. You're like Nostradamus. You're calling it.
Go Gators.
Go Gators.
Yeah, how'd you like that game? Did you like it? Did you watch it?
No, I didn't watch it. I was stuck at Veterans Park in Northeast for a baseball tournament all weekend, but I was happy for you, man. We had a smile on our face when we saw what Florida was doing, realizing that Gator Richard's going to be one happy camper.
Well, we had this conversation a couple weeks ago when I said, hey, look, I know Florida's lost a bunch of games early, like half their games at that point. You still don't think that with the win over FSU that this college selection committee will go, you know what? Florida's better than half the teams on this stupid list.
No chance.
Why are we leaving them out?
No chance. In fact, let me tell you something, all right, about your team. Number one, I'm looking at the polls right now, okay? I'm looking at the polls, and that's it. And according to the polls, they have, I think, 4 votes in the AP Top 25. 4 votes. They're, let's see, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. They're 33. At least
4 other people in the whole country.
Hang on.
Have that foresight like I have.
Yeah, man. But again, they're getting no votes in the coaches poll. So, unfortunately, if the coaches poll is not voting for them and there's only 4 AP voters, if they beat Florida State, forget trying to get into the top 12. They're not getting into the top 25 when it's all said and done.
Well, you don't have to be in the top 25. You don't have to be in the top 12 to get in the college playoffs. You've heard it every week this season. They talk about it. They said, well, the conference champs, they get a bye. And then everybody else, hey, it's your resume. It's what did you do this season? Not so much your record, not so much your final standing, but are these the next best teams that we need to pair up for this champion? And I don't agree with this bye thing. Maybe it should be the top 16 teams or something. Okay, because given these teams a bye, really, I don't know what the reasoning is on that, but
Let me try to make it as clear as possible. You're not getting in to the college playoffs. There is zero chance that happens. None. Not even 0.00001, Richard. Zero.
Okay, well that's fine. I know in my heart the Gators can beat up a BYU.
There you go.
Or maybe even an Oregon if you had to match them up.
Yeah, I like that. Hey, listen. As long as you feel good in your heart, that's all that matters, man. That's what being a fan is all about.
Like Ohio State. Seriously, why are they ranked number 2?
They've lost one game all season.
Great.
It's all regional bias, man.
Listen, Ohio State has had a terrific season. They beat the number 3 team in the country. They beat the number 5 team in the country. Their only loss was a 1-point loss to Oregon. They've defeated everybody else they've played this year. So you're saying why are they so high? They've had one loss. It was by 1 point. If Florida was in the similar situation, they'd be high too right now in the SEC.
Well, that's why you play the game, I guess.
Attaboy, that's a good way to end the call. I like that. That's right. That's why you play the game. I agree with you 100%. Look, Florida had their chances early on. They had bad losses. That's what it comes down to. And they had a tough schedule. The SEC's not easy. The SEC's ridiculous. And you know what? They played a bunch of ranked teams, and they got their lunches handed to them. That's just the reality of the situation.
To credit the Gators, they've actually played better. I watched a little bit of that game this past weekend against Ole Miss. They're not top 25 good. They're not top 15 good. Not even close.
No.
Not top 12 in the college football playoff. They've lost 5 games already. Can they play spoiler to everybody else? Yes. But can we judge them based on what they've done over the last month and say that they should be one of the 12 best teams in the playoff? No, of course not. That's why you play the game.
Exactly. Look, Miami beat the crap out of them early this season. So did Texas. They hung for a while with Georgia, but they lost by 14 to them. Tennessee beat them by 6, and then A&M beat them by a couple touchdowns. You've lost 5 games. 5 games.
No chance.
None. Alabama's lost 3. They've got no chance. So I'm saying, if a 3-loss Alabama team has no chance, you better believe a 5-loss Florida team. Come on, man.
Yeah, even Ole Miss, who they just beat, has a better resume than Florida. That's just the reality.
They do. 20 past as we get started on the show today. Bernie's going to be dropping by for the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl watch coming up at 5 o'clock, and we're going to have an old friend stop by. We haven't spoken to in months. Super excited about that. You'll enjoy that as well, I promise you, folks. So stay tuned. That's coming up at 5 o'clock. Then John and Steve from Vegas in about an hour and 25 minutes. They'll join us during our final countdown. Good to have you with us as we go to Charlie 1 for this traffic update.
Stephen, the Paso Metroplex, I want to get to some rough spots right here. First of all, we have the I-10 westbound lanes at Viscount. We have a stalled truck that's on the right shoulder, so just give them room, a little bit of slowdown there. I-10 west at Viscount. Also, in the valley, Loop 375 and North Loop, what we have here is a lot of construction going on, and we have closures on both sides there. Loop 375, northbound, southbound, and North Loop. Close off some lanes here, so just caution in that area. Add to that, where we tap the brakes? Tap the brakes, I-10 East, Spaghetti Bowl area, I-10 and East Lake, both sides right there. Leo's Restaurant, 7520 Rimcon, 78 years in business. Original family since 1946, Tuesday through Sunday from 11 to 8. That's tonight. Famous tortilla soup, full menu. Go Miners, Leo's Restaurant, 7520 Rimcon, Charlie 1600 ESPN, El Paso.
Back here on Sports Talk as we continue. 25 now past the hour. 505-6009, our telephone number. It's 505-6009 as we continue. This is from the Texas Truth. It was funny listening to Steve Yellen trying to talk over John Teicher. Teich would then continue talking without pausing so that Yellen couldn't interrupt and cut off his play-by-play of the game. I personally am not a fan of Yellen. Wish they had a true color analyst. Look, here's the thing. Everybody knows when John calls a game, John could call a game solo. John could call a game with an analyst. And as an analyst, you got to know when to pop in. And years ago, Yellen just decided he's going to talk whenever. Like, he doesn't care if John's talking or not. At times, it's cringy. Other times, it's hilarious. And then there's the rare times when John stops during like a foul or something that happens when Yellen gets in, and it sounds like a normal team. But I'm just going to tell you, folks, there is nothing like these two when they call a game. I mean, Sebastian, you're an aspiring play-by-play broadcaster, right? You do this in college. You've done it for high school games. You've done a lot of these. Could you imagine if you're working with somebody and for the entire game, when you're doing the play-by-play, they're talking over you, trying to, get something in edgewise?
Well, it's definitely a mind game, and one of the ways in which you can best evade that, and it's just a lesson from my dad, just keep talking. Just keep talking.
John does that, and Yellen doesn't care. It's amazing. I gotta just play some clips from yesterday, because there were some examples of this last night that were just epic. And I'm driving home from the ale house listening to this, and I can't listen to Flow. I can't watch Flow Sports. I need John Teicher and Steve Yellen for 3 days is what I need. So I need my fix. And yesterday, Adrian, leaving the station and going to the ale house and then coming out, I got 30 minutes of that on the way back from Fleet Trevino all the way to the west side, and it was terrific.
Yeah, it's an inside joke definitely between all of us on Minor Talk. Like, Sal and I will just look at each other when he just goes off the rails, and and I'm talking about Yellen in a positive way where he's just getting so excited about something that he can't contain himself. So yeah, I appreciate his excitement and his enthusiasm.
And by the way, that's important to note. This is not Steve Yellen trying to sabotage John Teicher. Exactly the opposite. This is Steve so excited as the number one fan and PR voice of UTEP basketball that you're right. He can't hold it in. He just wants to, he wants to say what fans would say during those situations. It just happens when John's in the middle of doing his play-by-play.
He just can't contain himself. He's so excited. He wants to get to tell everybody what just happened, or and to his credit as well, he finds a positive spin to everything for UTEP basketball.
He does. Yellen's the greatest. All right. 28 past as we continue here on Sports Talk. Let's go to Domingo, who's joining us next on the phone lines right now as we continue. 505-6009. Hang on one second. There we go. All right. Domingo, what's going on, man? How are you?
Hi, Cappy. How's everybody doing today?
Hey, we're doing well, man. How about yourself?
Fine. Okay. I really love what Gator Richard said about Florida should be in the playoffs, but hey, but Gator Richard, hey, just be faithful. You're going bowling. You stunned Ole Miss in the before rivalry week.
There you go.
You're going bowling.
Yeah, that's big time, man.
That's the most important thing.
That's big time. I agree with you.
If you would have lost to Ole Miss, then the stakes would have been higher for Billy Napier and the Gators. Same thing to OU. Yeah, stakes would have been higher for this week. Now I already told you about the 4 teams who were going to battle out yesterday, but now we same thing. The stakes are also higher for 12 teams who needs to win for the final 3 bowling spots.
Yeah, that's right. Listen, I think, as we all know, with the way the polls are being done for the playoffs, it's going to be most likely, and that's, I don't know. I'm still trying to look at, because the polls come out tonight in about a half an hour, how this is going to shake out. The only thing we know for sure is that Boise State is taking that spot for the group of 5. We know that's happening.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a done deal. The way the rest of it shakes out, especially down the last few spots, that's going to be the fun part.
Oh, yeah. And also, speaking about rivalry week, it is going to be big for UTEP this week because we're going to Cruces for the big one. And I hope UTEP wins because we hadn't won a road game all season. If we can win the big game on Saturday in Las Cruces, at least we got a road win. And we win at MSU Senior Day. At least they'll give us hope for next season.
You going to the game?
I don't know yet.
Well, hopefully you get out there, man. Thanks for the call, Domingo. So we hit the bottom of the hour here on Sports Talk. Hey, man, New Mexico State's flying high. They won. They went to Murfreesboro and won and beat up Middle Tennessee State. So if anybody's got a little momentum on their side right now, it's the Aggies.
No doubt, Steve. And they also, look, the difference between coaching staffs, they were almost forced into a situation, I'm talking about New Mexico State, to roll with their head coach and Tony Sanchez. It's worked out for them. I'll say that. He's done a great job this season. I'll say that as well. This was not their plan A. This was not plan B. Jerry Kill was plan A to roll it back again and run it back for another season. That didn't happen. It was a late switch in the offseason, and, as a result, they roll with Tony Sanchez from the same coaching staff as Jerry Kill. On the flip side with Scotty Walden, he has the assurance. He is here at UTEP to build something. This is that first year zero in the rebuild kind of, tenure for Scotty Walden and company at UTEP. What I'm saying is there might be a lot more pressure over, at New Mexico State with Tony Sanchez than there is with Scotty Walden, knowing the circumstances and knowing how both coaches were respectively hired.
No, it's true. That's a good point. And you look at things. Listen, we're going to be looking back on this for a long time because you got Sanchez in New Mexico State, you have Scotty here, and then you've got Bronco Mendenhall doing to New Mexico what Mike Price started doing when he arrived at UTEP 20 years ago.
You say we're going to be seeing this a long time. How long does Tony Sanchez have at New Mexico State? Genuinely asking.
At least 3 more years?
You think at least 3 years?
Let me ask you this. You think New Mexico State can afford to buy anybody out?
No.
They probably gave him a 5-year contract, just like UTEP gave Scotty Walden a 5-year contract. So, yeah, you're on the hook for a while. You better hope this thing works.
But financially, they made the commitment to go over to Conference USA. And if they're not competitive in years 2 and 3, this year I'm not calling them competitive. They're struggling. Yeah. They're having a terrible season, they have a bad season next year. They can't justify it for one more year after that.
Hey, by the way, 4-8 is not terrible. Is it real? Because if they're 4-8, that means UTEP's 2-10.
Oh, UTEP's terrible. I think UTEP's in that same conversation, my friend. I'm not a fan of mediocrity one bit. And I know that you're going to have to take a step back when you lose all the production they did. But still, 4-8, you go back and look at those wins, that is something to build on more than 3-9 going into the offseason.
4-8's pretty much what they're used to at New Mexico State before Jerry Kill arrived.
True.
So, with the exception of one Doug Martin season.
I'm just saying that in today's college football world, things move fast.
They do.
And they just moved to to Conference USA. They've got to try to remain competitive if you're New Mexico State. And if you're that fan base, you want more. You want, a successful program just like you had with Jerry Kill.
It's true. All right, 33 past. Let's go to Sebastian and get ourselves this bottom of the hour Sports Center update. As a volunteer color announcer, he should be able to jump in whenever he wants to say what other fans might be thinking as long as it doesn't make John Teicher blow a gasket. Do you Yellen? Hey, if that is true, if Yellen is really doing these games for no money and is paying for his own airfare and his own travel arrangements, then yeah, you almost give Steve a pass if he's just and God bless John Teicher saying, yeah, you know what, you want to just come on out to Vegas and join me for 3 days? Come on out, man. We'll love to have you.
You still want to come out and join me? You still want to do this after all these years? Yeah, that would be the craziest story ever.
I don't know if that's true though. I don't know.
There's no way. I don't believe that.
I could not see Steve Yellen just doing this for nothing. Could you?
I could see him doing it for nothing, but he doesn't. In this, for the sake of this conversation, I just want to believe that he doesn't do this for nothing.
Yeah,
he would do it for nothing though. If like 1 year they were like, "Hey, budget cuts," stuff like that, he'd say, "Oh, no worries, man. I'm tagging along for the ride."
But like, look at Alberto for example. He's here with us almost every day. He's over with the morning show almost every day. He's doing a lot of that for nothing. But there's a difference. He's doing it for experience. Yellen's been on the radio for 20 years already with John Teicher. They've been doing this stuff forever.
And he has a daytime job, and
Yeah.
he makes a good living, and he's got a family, but he does it because he's a Miner. Like, he's a UTEP alum, and he wears that number 14 proudly whenever he gets to sport it. And you know what? I guess he's just the ultimate diehard when it comes to UTEP basketball.
Could you see yourself doing this for free in 20 years?
In 20 years, I don't know. Maybe I hit like the lottery or something, and you never know.
Okay, but if you're not hitting the lottery, the answer is no.
Then I don't think so. No.
If you hit the lottery, Steve, would you do this for free?
No.
Really?
Wow.
No. If I hit the lottery, I'm done.
We're saying bye.
I'm finished.
You're going to Denmark.
You'll have my farewell show. I'll sit home, relax, and listen to the two of you clowns do Sports Center every day and be very happy in my retirement.
Oh man, that's hilarious. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's good. I've done this for 30 years. Like, I mean, if I hit the lottery and do this again for free, like, no, that's not going to happen. No, you know what I'm going to do then? I'm going to call Brad Taylor, tell him I want to be down the first base or third base lines at every baseball game, retrieving foul balls. Since if I'm not getting paid, let me have a job where send me to Southwest University Park and let me be at a baseball game and be out there on the field shagging balls for people when they're hitting them down the lines.
Then you could be the complainer who calls into this show and says, "Hey, Adrian, the net is too high. We just can't stand this here in minor league baseball." And you're the ultimate antagonizer after that. So maybe it could work down the line.
Hey, by the way, if I win, how much are we talking about when I win the lottery? How much money are we talking about here? Give me an idea.
Goodness, now we have to think
20 million. Let's say
20 million?
Yeah.
All right. First off, I'm buying the station.
Okay.
So that'll be the first thing. So I'm going to be your
investment.
I will own you guys because I will do that, and we're going to
hopefully that doesn't depreciate.
No, we're going to make it an FM. We'll figure out maybe it's an FM station. So we'll go there. We'll be FM and keep the AM stick too. So we'll be both dual AM and FM. And then I'll make sure that UTEP's NIL gets taken care of, so they're going to become competitive.
Yes,
and that'll be good. I'll be giving back in plenty ways. That's okay.
You know what, Steve? You as like an ultimate silver donor, like let's say we just go to Steve Kaplowitz for the big man.
Don't want that. Too much pressure. Too much pressure.
But you have a lot of ties. You can
can't.
use your connections that you've established in the media, sniff out the best prospects possible, and bring a legit player over here with financial contributions.
I know. It's a great idea. I like that. But, I mean, I just don't want to be like the next – you know what? Because that's the thing. It's like when you're talking about poor guys like Paul Foster and Woody Hunt and everything, and Jerry Rubin, it's like, oh, my God, we need money. Oh, let's call the three guys that have been donating the most over the last 20 years. I don't want to be in that category.
Hey,
I don't want
Steve
that.
suddenly changed his number after we asked him the third time for another player in the NIL.
Yeah, you're not going to find me anymore. I'll be someplace else. That's for sure.
Steve just started sporting a Denmark soccer team. He just bought one out there. What happened? Copenhagen.
We're going to have we're going to have a reality TV show just like they're doing with that team in the English League. That's exactly. All right, 20 in front of 5. We got a lot more in store for you. When we come back, we were talking about, John and Steve. I'm going to work during the break on pulling some of my favorite highlights from last night, and if I can, we'll share those for you next. The Sports Talk continues, 600 ESPN El Paso. Like, I really believe that when he starts talking, he doesn't know where he's going and where he's going to end up. Like, he just keeps talking until he's finally finished a thought. And if John's going to be continuing back with his play-by-play, Steve will just keep talking until he's done.
When I was first listening to Steve Yellen, I just didn't understand the idea. But now the years continue to pile on, and I'm like, you know what? He's just a national treasure. Like, we don't deserve Steve Yellen. We don't deserve this kind of stream of consciousness that comes out from him and all the passion he puts into his calls.
Yeah, you're right. By the way, that was 5 minutes during the commercial break, chopping that up. And that was all between about 4 minutes and a minute and a half left in the game with those particular highlights. I'm sure there were plenty more. And you'll hear more tonight starting at 6:30 on the UTEP game against Long Beach State. Our coverage starts at 6 with John and Steve. And they'll be back courtside to bring you all the action. And looking forward to Game 2 of the Ball Dogs Classic with these two guys.
Me too, man. I'm ready to go. This is going to be an exciting game tonight. And the Miners need to bounce back after a terrible loss yesterday. Need to bounce back against a team that is 1-5, a team that's reeling in Long Beach State, and a team that lost big time yesterday to UNC Greensboro.
So true. All right, 9 in front of 5 with a call ringing in, 505-6009. Our telephone number, the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl Watch is coming up in about 10 minutes with Bernie Olivas Executive Director of the Sun Bowl Association. And, we are going to have a special guest reunion. Someone who you have not spoken and heard from in months, who is going to be making a very much anticipated return to this show. I am super excited about that. So we'll do that all as well as we continue. And apparently, I didn't even realize it until right now. We had Augustine on the line last segment.
Yes.
How did I blow that one?
No, he just dropped.
Oh, okay. I was like thinking, must have been right at the break time, right when we had him, right? Something like that. Okay. Here's my question to you. All right. We have had plenty of analysts for UTEP games. I mean, I think Cole's doing a great job with Teich for football. I love that. We've had Bernie Riccono over the years. For basketball, we've had Quentin Gates. We've had Paul Cunningham. We've had, I believe also, it's either Scott Arrett or Keith Arrett. I forget which one, like what his first name is, but he did the games back in the days. This one here, though, is just, I think Steve Yellen is the most, and I know it drives some UTEP fans crazy because he talks over John, but as you said it and pointed out so well, Adrian, he's a fan. He's a former player, but he is a fan first. And when you give a fan like Yellen a hot mic, he just can't contain himself half the time he's watching the game.
You just have to hose him down sometimes. He's just that excited for UTEP basketball, especially, these recent teams that have had some chances. Last year's team that made it all the way to the CUSA title game, he was going crazy for those games.
You're right. Do you feel like after all these years, Tice just completely tunes him out, and to him it's like he's doing the game solo, or do you think that when Yellen's there, he's he still gets a chance to hear what Steve's saying? Because they've been working for so long together, and Steve's been talking over John for so long. Do you feel like John just is, what do you think? Do you think that John, is playing off of yells, or do you feel like he's just calling the game the way he sees it?
I don't know. That's a good question. How do you see it? If you had to make a guess, how do you see that right there?
I don't know, because a lot of the times when John's calling the game and Steve talks, John never responds to him. It's like he's not even there. So I don't know how to answer that question. I'm not with them all the time. I just think that they're hilarious. I love listening to them, and they are a part of my UTEP basketball experience for the last 20 years.
They're just the ideal tandem when it comes to UTEP hoops.
They are the perfect tandem. I hope it never changes. I hope John and Steve call the games forever, as far as I'm concerned. That is how I want to listen to UTEP Minor basketball. All right, one down, one to go. When we come back, special guest here in the studios with Bernie Olivas for the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl Watch. We'll do that next right here, 600 ESPN El Paso. We've got a full house today. Sebastian Perez Nevada's here. Alberto Dueta is hanging out. Bernie Olivas is back, joining Adrian Broadus and yours truly with the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl Watch, and we've got a special guest joining him as well, picking games, who has not been back with us in months. Special guest, why don't you just say a few words, and when people hear your voice, they will know exactly who we are talking about today.
El Paso, I could not be more excited to be back on the show.
That's the one and only Cade McConnell, folks, who is back with us for the first time since before the start of the season. I mean, you were doing your farewells before the season even began. We haven't had you back since. Well, you've been in the studio, but we haven't put you on the mic, really, and this is nice. I mean, we love you, man. We're happy to have you back. First and foremost, how's the wrist?
The wrist is doing well. Well, first, before I say the wrist, let me say I am so excited to be back here. It was July. It was before fall camp. It was probably at the end of July was my last time in here, and I do not like being gone for that long. But, as we know, both you and I know, football takes precedence. So we had a job to go take care of, and we're getting to the end of it right now. We're getting down to it, and, not everything went my way this season. Obviously, you don't want to end up in an injury, but the wrist is hanging in there. I had surgery a couple weeks ago. Shout out to Dr. Mitchell. Did a wonderful job on a surgery that is very rare. This specific surgery had never been done before. It was kind of a freak thing, and I'm so blessed that all the doctors and people that surrounded me and the connections that I had were able to take a lot of time and care in order to get me exactly what I needed. And, we're sitting here in a cast now, and although I don't want to be in a cast, it feels pretty darn good, Steve.
Is it weird feeling like you're like the Tommy John of this particular kind of freak injury that happened with your wrist?
It does. It's crazy to think about. There's a lot of scariness that went into that with not knowing exactly what the diagnosis was going to be, not knowing what the procedure was going to be. And there was a long list of things that happened that maybe we can get into another time. We have a lot more time to talk about it, but I'd love to tell that story. But anyway, it's pretty crazy knowing that I was kind of the first of something to happen. So, if this thing goes the way that they're expecting it to, and they were really happy with the procedure, they're going to write about it in a medical journal somewhere, and we'll be the first to do it if something. And not many people can say that. And although I didn't have a big part in that, it's a lot of the doctors. It's still pretty cool.
Meanwhile, Bernie Olivas, who's here right now with us, you're going to be picking games with us this week. He said, "Hey, you think Kate can come in?" I said, "I don't know. Let me find out." I didn't even. You were a long shot, but sometimes you got to take that shot, Bernie, right? Because you never know who could be popping into our studios.
You're going to miss 100% of those shots that you don't take.
That's right.
So, hey, thanks for being here. Appreciate it, especially this week. That it's rivalry week at the end of the season, which is kind of rare for New Mexico State and UTEP. But I'm glad to have you here, and good luck on that. Good luck with that wrist.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm really happy that you told Steve to call me up. I appreciate it.
Oh, you got it. No problem.
I also love the fact that we're in our final week. Nothing was solved last week because we all went 6 out of 10. All three of us went 6 out of 10. So as we stand, Adrian, how big is your lead over Bernie going into the final
Just
week?
one game. Just one game.
Oh, my God. Bernie, this is the big one,
I
man.
used the Steve Klapowicz method of picking games this week.
Did you? You picked in like 30 seconds?
Right before I got here.
Good, that's what I did.
I've been busy. We've got a big parade coming in a couple of days.
Huge parade.
Huge parade. I hope everybody comes out. Weather's going to be nice. The floats are incredible. The bands, everything about it so far looks so much better than it always has been. And every year, Joe Dabach, our special events director, raises the bar on that parade, and this year is no exception. It is going to be a fantastic parade. Starts at 10 a.m. on Montana and Ochoa, and goes all the way to Copia Street. So come on out and just start Thanksgiving celebration by coming out to the Glasheen Vice and Injury Lawyers Parade.
And by the way, Wayne Thornton's going to be your master of ceremonies. I love that. Actually, he is the Grand Marshal.
The Grand
Marshal of the parade.
Long time deserving, gentleman.
Yeah.
And, I know he's a big part of the Sun Bowl, but you know what? That's not why we picked him. We picked him for what he does for the entire community, what he has done for the entire community. A lot of people don't know he was the very first women's basketball coach at UTEP.
That's right.
And he has done so many things like midnight basketball. Took a lot of kids off the streets on Fridays and Saturdays. He has done so many things for the sports in El Paso, especially for the women's sports and girls sports. So we are proud to have him as our Grand Marshal this year.
Now, Kate, how are you spending Thanksgiving with the team?
Yeah, we are going to have a little Thanksgiving with the team, but we actually decided to have ours kind of stay in the morning part of so we'll still have practice that day, and then we're going to do kind of a Thanksgiving lunch with the team, and then Coach was nice enough to kind of allow us to have that night to go out, and if families in town and the guys that are from town can spend it with their families if they're coming out here, and then if not, they can go and hang out with friends, recharge for the night and hang out. So I'm going to get together with some of the friends, Kevin, Ashlyn, and those guys, and kind of do a little Friendsgiving that night, which is going to be fun.
Sounds like a blast.
Yeah,
Good
it'll be
for
a
you.
good time.
I'm excited about that. Now, how much have you been keeping up with college football?
Liz, on our Wednesday games in October, I do a whole lot better than I do right now because we're playing on Wednesday. You have most of the day on Saturday, depending on where your off day falls and stuff like that, and timing of stuff to watch, the rest of games and stuff like that. When you play on Saturdays, it becomes a whole lot more tough because you're gone for so much of the day. You miss a lot of games. But I did a little bit of homework. I tried to brush myself up real quick as I was coming over here. Maybe I did my picks just like you, Bernie, right on the way over. But hey, in my history on the show of doing picks, whether it be college or NFL, I'm currently doing pretty dang good. So
good.
I'm excited. Keep it on a roll.
I'm excited about that, Bernie. We're 14 weeks into the season. Who's coming here for the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl on December 31st?
Oh, we've cut it down to about 17 teams that are possible here at the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. Actually, I think from the Pac-12, we're down to about 3 possibilities, but the ACC is still wide open. So many things can happen in the ACC this weekend. But
Yep.
I think, it's no secret. If you look at the records of the schools and who picks ahead of us, I think it's no secret that Oregon, Colorado, Arizona State, and Washington State are probably going to be out of our picture.
Okay.
And that's Alamo, Vegas, Holiday, and of course, I think Oregon's going to go to the playoffs. They might get 2 teams in the playoffs. Colorado's loss last week, I think, kind of kicked them out of the playoffs for a while. So that the next 3 teams available are going to be USC, Washington, Cal. And I think we are going to wind up with one of those 3 teams from the Pac-12 side.
Well, listen, if you get Cal, it's the first time they've ever come here, so that would be a big deal. And you can never go wrong with USC or Washington, that's for sure, too.
Washington just played for the national championship last year. So, they still got a lot of those, players there. So it would be, I think it'd be great for El Paso. We haven't seen USC since 12, I think.
Has it been that long already?
Yeah, I think it was.
We haven't had USC in this game since 2012.
No, maybe it wasn't that long. No, it wasn't that long ago because Georgia Tech beat them not too long ago. Georgia Tech beat them. But anyway, and Washington hasn't been here in a while. So, and Cal, like you said, Cal has never been here. So we're looking for pretty good school from the Pac-12.
By the way, USC was 2012. December 31st, 2012, they lost 21-7 to Georgia Tech.
I was right. See?
So, yes, sometimes you just have to trust yourself, right?
Exactly.
You really do. By the way, as far as Washington goes, you got to go all the way back, and make sure I get this right here, to 2002 when they played Purdue. So
that's right.
You've got one team that hasn't been here in 22 years, another team that hasn't been here in 12 years, and a third team that's never been here for this game. So point is, you can't go wrong no matter which direction you end up with for this contest.
I agree, and hope everybody realizes that and goes out and buys their ticket. Let's fill up the Sun Bowl this year.
Oh yeah. Now ACC.
What are we? Totally different question over there.
Yeah.
SMU's 10-1, Clemson is 9-2, Miami is 10-1.
They're out.
After that, Louisville, Georgia Tech, Duke. Duke, by the way, is 8-3, and so is Syracuse. Louisville and Georgia Tech are 7-4, but Virginia is 5-6. Virginia Tech is 5-6. They play against each other this week. One of them is going to be bowl eligible. The other one is not.
Right.
Pittsburgh is 7-4. Unfortunately, they started out 7-0, and now they're 7-4. They go up to Boston College this weekend. That'll be a tough one. Boston College is on a semi-run. North Carolina, Cal are all 6-5. NC State 5-6. They play North Carolina this week. They win. They're bowl eligible. So, and of course, UNC, North Carolina's eligible already. So, that's all. Those schools are still possible. Participants in this year's Tony Tiger Sun Bowl. It's crazy over there.
By the way, since Cal is in the ACC, correct? Or are they? They are in the ACC, right? Cal's in the ACC.
They are ACC,
but they're part of that pack.
They're part of the legacy teams.
Could we? Okay, since you're dealing with Cal, Washington, and USC, looking at the schedule, Cal has not played Washington. They have not played USC. We could actually get a Cal Washington or a Cal USC game.
No.
Why not? Because
they're all from the Pac-12.
So in other words, you can't take Cal as ACC.
No.
They have to be part of the Pac-12
That's
alliance.
Right. All the Pac-12 schools that left have to play in Pac-12 bowls.
Oh, I see. So Cal could play somebody from the ACC that they didn't play this season.
So we could have
that
two
could happen.
ACC teams here.
So you could have technically Cal against North Carolina.
If they didn't play against each other, correct.
They haven't. So that would be a possibility. So you could do it that way.
Correct.
All right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Kate, any preference on who you'd like to see here?
No, actually, I don't. I always don't have a preference because I think it's cool just seeing different teams come here to play. Like I didn't expect or have any preferences of who was going to play last year, and then seeing Notre Dame and Oregon State come. I mean, two really cool teams and guys that I knew out on those teams, train with back home, and things like that. And so I think it's always kind of fun surprise to see who ends up here. As another player that plays in college football. It's just cool to see who you get.
Yeah,
a lot of bowls depend pick teams depending on how many people will travel to their cities. And we know where we are. We're a little bit farther away from everything is. So getting a lot of people to come from anywhere is hard to get them here. So we want to bring, even though we do want them to bring a lot of people, we try to bring teams that our people here in town have not seen in a long time, and they don't get to see these teams, play very often. So, and of course, we want people that we want teams that'll turn a lot of TVs on for our sponsors' sake and for our broadcast sponsors' sake. So, I think all the teams that are available. I think Washington is great, SC is great. Our people here have never seen Cal, so I think we're headed to a really, really good matchup.
Well, let me say this, okay? If Boston College ends up winning their final game, which is very possible, they could wrap it up with a W, and you get USC. Well, Boston and LA are two of the largest TV markets in the country, and getting them on top of each other, that would probably make, I'm sure, CBS pretty excited about something like that.
I think so, too. And again, Boston College traditionally is not a powerhouse in the ACC. They don't go to a lot of bowl games. And those schools that don't go to a lot of bowl games, when they do get an opportunity, they travel quite a bit.
Yep, they sure do. All right, quarter past. We got to pick games. We're doing that next. You've got trivia, though, to give away a pair of tickets to this year's Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl.
Still want to give away tickets to the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl on December 31st, and you've given away part of the answer already, by the way.
Well, thank you.
All right.
Appreciate that. Without even knowing, I thank you for ruining your trivia question. That's great.
It's all right. No, there's still plenty of answers to give.
Okay.
We're 1 week closer to knowing who will take part in this year's Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl game. We know we have two conferences that we've had for quite some time. They both have 12 teams and 16 teams. But there are 7 teams from the Pac-12 and ACC that have never played in the Tony Tiger Sun Bowl.
Ooh, 12?
12, no, 5.
Oh, 5.
No,
okay.
7, I'm sorry, 7.
Okay.
Name those schools.
We want 7 schools from these two conferences that have never played here.
That have never played here.
And I've already given one of them out.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That's correct.
Well, good luck, everybody. You got a freebie. You're welcome. 505-6009. That's our telephone number, 505-6009. When we come back, Cade McConnell will pick with us, and we'll get through Week 14 of our Chick-fil-A Tony the Tiger Select 'Em contest right after Charlie One, who has this traffic update. In halftime shows that were unlike anything we'd ever seen.
Absolutely.
And then Oscar continued that with Hyundai when he started up. He had a couple of big halftime acts as well. It was fantastic.
Lee Greenwood just brought the house down.
Yes.
With, God bless the USA.
That's right.
And we got some great ones. We're going to bring something, but it's not going to be.
You're not bringing Rihanna.
Exciting. No.
Cade, they brought Rihanna here.
I don't know. There's no way that's true.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Sure it is.
Rihanna played halftime of the Sun Bowl. What's that?
I have picks.
You have photo evidence?
Yes, photo evidence.
I'll see you at the break.
I have picks with her.
Now let me say this. Rihanna was she hadn't blown up yet. People knew who she was, but you guys were able to get her at the perfect time.
She blew up with the Grammy nominations right after the game.
Yeah, was it right after? Is that pretty much what happened?
That year, right
wow.
after theirs when she blew up.
Yeah, it's amazing.
She was super nice.
Yep.
She was just incredibly nice. Of course, she hadn't made it big yet. But when we were meeting with Jerry and the promoter, and he brought up Rihanna, I said, "Who's that?" I didn't know who that was, and Jerry didn't know who that was. Oh, she's up and coming. She's going to be great. And I go, Jerry was paying for it, and look what it turned out to be.
Oh, yeah. That was great. We always had the Village People also. They did the YMCA. It was the largest YMCA. Made the Guinness Book of World Records.
We're the Guinness Book of World Records for the most people. Yes.
Yeah, because there was the YMCA at the Sun Bowl. It was like 50,000 people doing the YMCA.
We just looked it up the other day, yeah.
That's awesome.
All right, guys, let's get these games started.
Let me pass Adrian this week.
You might have a shot to do that. This is Week 14 of the Chick-fil-A Tony the Tiger Select 'Em contest. Cade McConnell is our special guest picker this week. We will start our games off, and there are good ones all around college football, but we will start our games off with a contest featuring one of the two Pac-12 teams. That's going to be Oregon State at 5-6 meeting 10-1 Boise State in Boise at Albertson Stadium. Cade, you probably know the drills. We'll give you the spread just for entertainment purposes only. All we need are the straight-up winners here. Boise is a 19-point favorite. Who do you like?
I do like Boise. I mean, Oregon State's coming off a good win, but I expect Boise to keep their number 12 run going right now. Ginty looks great. He's my Heisman pick for the year, which song for another time. But I think Boise continues their run right here, Boise State.
All right, Boise State from Cade. What about you, Bernie?
Yeah, that could be pretty much a lock of the week right now, right off the bat. It's going to be Boise State.
Adrian.
Oh, man, Steve, this is a tough one right here for me. I think I'm going to go with Boise State.
I figured as much. We're all unanimous going Boise State at home over Oregon State. That takes us to game number 2. And now we're going to go into the ACC where we find Duke at 8-3, 4-3 in the league, taking on 4-7 Wake Forest, 2-5 in the ACC. It is in Winston-Salem. However, Duke, Bernie, 4-point favorites.
I'm taking the Blue Devils here. I think they're going to go 8-4, and I think they could go 9-3,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll be out of our picture if they do that. Somebody above us will have to take them. So I'm going with the Blue Devils.
All right, Adrian.
I like the Blue Devils on the road. I picked them a lot this year. I'll stick with it. Duke.
That makes 3 of us. What about you, Cade?
I love the way Duke looks this year, but I'm going to go with Wake Forest. Friend of mine from back home, Hank Bachmeyer, who's trained with me. I love a lot of the things that Wake does on offense and has done for a long time. That famous slow walk down mesh RPO, which we have a small version of ourselves here. But that's my upset of the week right here. I'm going Wake.
There's no chance Hank Bachmeyer's still playing college football. There's no chance.
Oh, he is.
Just because he played against UTEP about 4 years ago in the New Mexico Bowl? Yeah.
Well, then he also...
that wasn't
Houston Baptist, my friend.
No, who am I thinking of? That wasn't Bachmeyer. Who was the quarterback at Fresno? That showed up that one time.
Jake Haener.
That's who it was, Jake Haener. Bachmeyer, we saw against Boise twice, didn't we?
Yes, that's right. Boise year on the road, Boise here at the Sun Bowl.
And Houston Baptist?
And I'm sorry, Western Kentucky, not Houston Baptist.
Yeah.
No, Louisiana Tech, Adrian.
Sorry about
Louisiana
that.
Tech.
Thank you. Thanks for correcting me.
But he didn't play against us when he was at Louisiana Tech. He was hurt, and then actually the game we played against him against Boise State in 22, he went into the portal right after we played that game and beat Boise State.
That's right. You sent him into the portal.
That's right.
I remember that game now. All right, let's go to game number 3. This is going to be a good one, too. It's going to be Pitt and BC. Pitt's 7-4. They're reeling. 4 losses in a row. They're 3-4 in the league. Boston College is already bowl eligible at 6-5, 3-4 in the ACC. Adrian, your turn. BC 5-point favorites.
I'm going BC in this one simply because I've picked Pitt the last 2 weeks and they've done me wrong. So give me Boston College.
I'll take BC at home as well. What about you, Cade?
I have Boston College as well. I think that Pitt's spiraling down. Boston College is trending up. Their quarterback's out, done for the season, not on the roster anymore, and they're going behind their backup. They're happy to support him. I'm going BC.
Bernie, can Pitt snap out of it this week?
Yes. They're a much better team than a 5-loss-in-a-row team, and I'm thinking they're going to bust out this week, and I think they are going to take it out on Boston College. I am taking the Panthers.
All right. So there's Bernie's first big one, going Pitt on the road at BC. Let's go to our next matchup. It's number 13 SMU. They're hosting Cal. Cal 6-5, 2-5 in the ACC. SMU is 10-1, 7-0 in the ACC. They're ranked 13th. They're 13.5-point favorites. And yep, I like Cal, but not enough to pick them in this one. Give me SMU, Cade.
That's exactly how I feel. I actually really like Cal. From what I've seen, they've played a lot of really close, good football this year, but I think SMU's on a roll, and they're going to stay on it.
All right. Bernie.
I am also going, with the ponies over there. I am going with SMU. I saw Cal play against Syracuse at Cal, last week, and they looked pretty good for the most part, but Syracuse is a pretty good football team, and they kind of took control in the fourth quarter. But I am going to go with SMU here.
All right, Adrian.
SMU's been outstanding all season long. They're on a win streak. They just had a tight win, about a month ago against Duke. They just destroyed Virginia. I think that's what this one is going to look like, a destruction in favor for SMU. They destroy Cal in this one.
Game number 5, North Carolina State and North Carolina meeting in Chapel Hill. This is a big one, too. North Carolina is already bowl eligible. They're 6-5, 3-4 in the ACC. North Carolina State needs a win to get into the postseason. They're 5-6, 2-5 in the ACC. North Carolina 3.5-point home favorites. Cade.
No more Mac Brown. Kind of sad. I didn't think this was exactly how it was going to play out, but with my dad going to East Carolina, I was raised to never pick NC State in my life. Give me North Carolina.
North Carolina. What about you, Bernie?
I picked this game before all the news, and I'm going to stick with it. I am going with the Tar Heels and Mac Brown.
All right, Tar Heels it is. Adrian.
NC State's younger this season, and they've kind of had a downward spiral to close out the year. Give me North Carolina. They play for Mac Brown, and they try to win it for him in this one.
Yeah, I feel that's the same way, too. I just can't see Mac Brown going out like that. I'll take North Carolina. So I think we're all unanimous in North Carolina beating North Carolina State. Plus, nothing would make North Carolina fans happier than to eliminate NC State from a bowl bid.
Absolutely.
Okay, next up. Arizona State, Arizona. Another interesting game here. ASU's ranked 21st in the country. They're 9-2 overall, 6-2 in the Big 12. Arizona's out. They're 4-7, 2-6 in the Big 12. Bernie, ASU, 8.5-point road favorites out there in Tucson.
Arizona has nothing to lose. They're going to go all out on this game, but it's not going to be enough. I'm taking the Sun Devils.
All right, Sun Devils for Bernie. What about you, Adrian?
Okay, Cade, we were predicting a lot of good things for Noah Fafita in year 2. It's been a sophomore slump for him. There's no other way you could say it. Maybe it's a product of having a new coaching staff and having a lot of new people around you. Give me Arizona State. Just down year for Arizona. T-Mac still goes in the first round. That's their standout wide receiver, McMillan. It doesn't matter. Scattaboo will run all over them here for Arizona State.
Yeah, I like Arizona State too, Cade.
Yeah, I this was really hard for me. I was so close and wanted to pick Arizona the entire time, but Arizona State's on an absolute run right now, and they're headed straight forward Arizona State.
Okay, so we're unanimous, and that takes us to what's going to be another very, very tough game, and that is a game that's happening at the Coliseum with Notre Dame and USC. Notre Dame is ranked 6th in the nation. They're 10-1. USC is 6-5. Notre Dame 7.5-point favorites in this one, Adrian.
Okay, I've said it, and I'm going to say it again. USC is great when they're in L.A. They're not great when they have to travel, and that's been a product of this Big Ten scheduling. Give me the Trojans upset at home in L.A.
You know what? I could see it, and part of me really wants to pick USC, but Notre Dame has had one slip-up, and that was a 2-point loss against Northern Illinois. Now, granted, you can make the argument they haven't played anybody this season. They did beat A&M the first week. They beat Louisville. They beat Navy, and they beat Army. And they beat them all convincingly. They haven't even been in a really good game since Louisville much earlier this season. They're rolling. I could see them slipping up, but I'm still going Irish here on the road. Cade.
I have to go with the Irish as well. I think that USC, like Adrian said, is going to play them a lot better at home, but I just don't think they have enough firepower and enough motivation and momentum right now to take down number 6.
All right. Your turn, Bernie.
I've seen USC twice this year. I saw them play in the Coliseum against Rutgers, and they looked like world beaters. And like I said, all their losses have been a one-possession loss. So they are a pretty good football team. Then I saw them this weekend against UCLA, which is at the Rose Bowl, in front of a home crowd, in front of UCLA's home crowd, and they snuck it out. They stuck with it. They got into the red zone 3 times and came out of there with field goals until the very end. But I think it's going to be a barn burner. I think it's going to be a great game. But I am going to go with Notre Dame.
All right. So Adrian, this could be a big one for you. If USC is able to win at home, that could give you the kind of separation you need from Bernie this final week.
We've got 2 differences so far, so I felt comfortable taking a bit of a risk here.
And you have a 1-game lead, right, over
yes.
Bernie? Okay. 3 to go, and I get the layup this week. Washington State at home over Wyoming. Wyoming's 2-9. Washington State is 8-3. It's in Pullman. Wazoo is 17.5-point favorites. Yes, I will take the Cougars, Cade, to win this one going away.
17.5-point favorites is just too much for me. I'll go with Washington State as well.
All right. What about you, Bernie?
Same thing. It's just, like I said, it's Washington State. It's the Cougs.
Adrian?
Yeah, no question. Washington State.
Okay. Let's get right back to it. We got 2 to go. And now, another good one coming up with Washington taking on Oregon. The Ducks are undefeated, 11-0, 8-0 in the Big Ten. Washington is 6-5, 4-4 in the Big Ten. This game is in Eugene. Oregon, 19.5-point favorites, Kate.
I mean, this is the rematch from one of the best games of the year last year, but Oregon it looks so good this year. I mean, they look so polished. They're in Eugene, Oregon.
All right, your turn, Bernie.
No doubt about it. No, like I said, Washington is a probable here, but I think Oregon is just going to be too tough. I'm going with the Ducks.
Adrian.
Or I'm going Ducks all the way. No close, not even close.
All right, so we're all in agreement. We're all going Ducks over Washington, which means Washington will finish 6-6 if they lose this game. Just like USC, if they lose to Notre Dame, they finish 6-6.
A little bit disappointing, for a team that was coming off a national championship, regardless, or going to the national championship, regardless of the outcome. You expect a little bit better of a turnaround, but we saw a pretty deep fall off right there.
You're right. Final game, and that's going to be the ACC battle between Virginia and Virginia Tech. So much is on the line in this in-state rivalry. Whoever wins becomes bowl eligible. The loser is out. Virginia Tech is 5-6. Virginia is 5-6. They're both 3-4 in the ACC. The game is going to be in Blacksburg. Virginia Tech, the home team, the favorites, 7 points over Virginia, Bernie.
Again, both of them are playing for bowl eligibility. Tough decision here, but I'm just, for no other reason, but I'm taking the home team. I'm taking Virginia Tech.
All right. Your turn, Adrian.
You got to risk it if you want the biscuit, and that is also the honey pimento chicken sandwich from Chick-fil-A. I'm taking Virginia.
Ooh, I like it. You got to risk it if you want the biscuit. Sound like Lee Sterling right now.
Yes.
You really do.
Took a page out of his book.
Fantastic. I will go Virginia Tech at home over Virginia. Sorry about that, Adrian. Cade, what about you?
I'm the same way. I was looking at these picks before, and I was going with Virginia Tech specifically because they're the home team. Bernie, you and I are on the same page on that one.
Let me tell you something. If Virginia loses to Virginia Tech, and you lose this Chick-fil-A lunch, yeah, then you know what? Then you deserve it. You really do. You deserve to buy lunch.
What if I catapult? What if I go 10 out of 10?
Well, that would be huge. Then you're the genius. You're laughing all the way to the bank when Bernie's buying lunch.
Okay, we got 3 games to differentiate here. I didn't play it safe. I could have played safe.
You could have.
But it's time to – you know what? I feel like we're in the Thanksgiving kind of spirit, the holiday spirit here. Let's make it fun for everybody.
Yeah, you give thanks to the honey pepper pimento chicken sandwich. I know exactly who you give thanks to. Very nice. Total number of points scored by the Notre Dame USC game. I think it's 51.5 is the total. What about you, Kate? Who do you like in terms of the total?
Oh, that's tough for me. In terms of the total, could you give me the line again right there?
Yeah, I'll give you the total points between the two. Total points right now is 51.5.
Oh, 51. I'm going over on that.
So what do you take? Give me a number.
6. I'm thinking it's going to be a high score. I'm going to go 58.
58 for Cade. Yeah. Your turn, Bernie.
I'm going 55.
55 for Bernie. Adrian.
I put 55 already, so I already saved it.
I mean, you got to pick a new one, though. That's the way it works.
Okay, 56.
56 for Adrian. I will go 54. So we're all in that same range. We're all very close. Very close. Adrian, I thought for sure you were going 54, and I was going to have to change my number, so that's pretty good. I like it. All right, good luck, everybody, for this. This is a great way for us to wrap up Week 14. How do you feel about your picks this week, Cade?
I feel really confident. And listen, like I said, I miss some of the college football playing it. I don't get to watch it as much as some other people, but historically, my picks have turned out well for me. So regardless of how confident I feel at the moment, I think they're going to turn out good.
Good. I'm excited. And how about the Miners on Saturday, wrapping things up on the road in Cruces? I'm hoping a big El Paso crowd comes in for the final game of the season.
That's really what I'm hoping for, too. The Battle of I-10 means everything to this town, and it means everything to this football team. And I would love to see a great crowd go down to Las Cruces down there. It's awesome to me that we get to play a rivalry game at the very end of the season. That hasn't been the case the past 2 years that I've been here, and I think it's pretty cool when you get to go down there and finish off the season that way.
I agree. Hey, by the way, while you've been out, Skylar Locklear gets a concussion, misses a game. Then he comes back and has the game of his life, gets national accolades. So I was really happy for him. JP Pickles is getting an opportunity to play a little bit too. So guys getting the chance to, a freshman making some starts in the absence of Skylar, and then Locklear having one of those great games that you can just put out on your resume and say, hey, look, this is what I can do.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to be happy for both of those things, right? First of all, starting with JP Pickles, anytime you have a true freshman come in and put anything out on the field, that is any bit exciting to watch or worthy of good play. I mean, that's a lot to ask of an 18, 19-year-old kid to come in against 22, 23, and even 24-year-olds nowadays, playing in college football. And I think that JP's looked really good. I think that, in terms of everything in the grand scheme of things, he's looked really poised for a freshman. I think he handles things pretty well, and I'm super proud of him. We talk all the time. He comes back and he asks me questions behind the huddle after every single play, after every drive in practice, and it's just that shows his drive to go and get better. And for Skyler, I mean, what a game against Kennesaw, right? I think he did exactly what was asked of him, but he didn't do too much. And then when he did have to make a play and he did have to scramble around, he made it happen. And we had that overtime touchdown that goes in, and then of course the great scrambling play. Like, those are the type of things that make really, really good quarterback performances, right? Can you do exactly what's asked of you in the realm of what you need to do? Don't do too much. And then when it's time to make a play, go make a play. And he did it. And I thought he looked really good at the beginning of the Tennessee game as well.
Well said. It's great to have you back.
Cade, my brother was a pretty good quarterback at New Mexico State back in the day.
He was.
And I was a not so very good wide receiver at UTEP. So it's a pretty good friendly rivalry. My brother played New Mexico State. I played here at UTEP. And it's a lot of fun every time when they get together.
Are you gonna have a chance to go to the game, or are you gonna be on the road Saturday?
No, I think we've seen everything we need to see. We've seen quite a few teams this year. I've seen quite a few teams this year. I'm going to stick around here.
Going to Cruces?
I'm going to go to Cruces.
Let's go get one this week. Yeah, Bernie?
You got one. You got it.
Parade. Let's talk about that one more time. The Glasheen via Zinderman Sun Bowl Thanksgiving Parade this Thursday. Always the parade route out there on Montana. Bernie, when should people get there, start arriving, just to make sure they've got a good spot?
Well, I could tell you that people start arriving about, I'd say 7 o'clock Wednesday night.
Really? They sleep over?
It is amazing how many people sleep over on the parade route. Every year, Joe Daubach and I and some of the volunteers are out there, making sure everything's ready. And I drive up and down Montana Street, and there's people there with their grills eating, and they have their blankets, they have their couches, they have everything. But I would not get there any later than 8 o'clock.
Okay. All right.
A.M. I mean
yes.
A.M., but a lot of people, you could be surprised how many people camp out for that parade. Again, it's going to be a fantastic parade. I've seen the floats. They're incredible this year. So
weather's going to be great, too.
The weather's going to be very good.
Yeah.
It's going to be dry. It's going to be about 60 degrees, and it's going to be very pleasant. So please come on out.
Awesome.
And just kick off Thanksgiving that way.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys. Appreciate you being here.
Likewise, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys. Thanks for having me back on the show.
Come back and see us again.
I will, absolutely.
Good. From Cade McConnell and Bernie Olivas and, of course, Sebastian and Alberto, to John and Steve. We'll join them next from Henderson in Vegas as we get ready. Actually, I should say Henderson, Nevada, not Vegas. It's right outside of Las Vegas. It's Henderson, Nevada, the Bulldogs Classic. We'll check in with those two as we get ready for UTEP basketball. Pregame show less than 20 minutes away right here, 600 ESPN El Paso.